This is a zoomed in version of my office view. Just love this view of the garden. The red tropical sage. The blue Plumbago is designed to be the ground cover in here. And the Esperanza and Pride of Barbados are designed to be the color pop right by the front door. It's everybody's favorite. So the kiddos get home and walk down the path. That's what they see. This is chives. You know, anytime I got chives, that's where the deer slept, and deer were sleeping here, and so I planted chives and they stopped sleeping here. You see the red tropical sages up in there. I want them just to really just take over this area and kind of merge with the tree and turn into a wall. You know, the Mexican mint marigold is only in its second year. I'm hoping it'll flower this year. There's a couple guys like this one that are in their first year, because I expanded this out and changed this, made it a little bit narrower through here. See the bamboo muley in the back there, Greg's mist flower in the back there. But this is the front yard whenever the kids come in. And this is the other part. There's Mexican bush sage here, and Mexican bush sage all this way. It's all Mexican bush sage all over there. Then it's white mist flower. This is the Mexican bush sage flower. Really nice, one of my wife's favorite. So I keep it right by the front door. And this garden is pretty fun. A lot of hummingbird stuff in here. This is my sage garden. Mexican bush sage, Texas sage, Salvia gregii, which is salvia, which is, in this case, is also a sage. Majestic sage, Jerusalem sage, and I think that's all the sages in this garden. Oh no, there's a black and blue sage back there. But the Salvia gregii, and it's only its second year up here for these two. You can tell this one's a lot fuller right here. This one's third year. So these will fill in next year. It is what it is. They're just kind of looking ragged right now. This guy I'm gonna move. Man, that Texas sage got huge. So I'm gonna move that guy just completely out. You can barely see any of him anyway. And then, you know, this guy, I think I'm gonna have to, I don't know, I'm gonna have to do something with him. That Texas sage got huge. It's supposed to get tall, but it got really wide. So you can see the flame acanthus up there, right there. That's hummingbird food. Hummingbirds really like that. So this is a Yucca rostrata, and this Yucca rostrata grows really slow. It's a super old one. Most of these plants I grew from cuttings, right? I don't have all the money in the world, so I have to take cuttings of these plants, and I plant them in compost because it's free, and then I put them in the ground when they're big enough. That's how I've grown this garden. Well, this I couldn't do that because it grows so slow. So I went out and bought one of these, and wow, it looks so nice. I really like this. It's just, it almost looks like a Dr. Seuss plant. And in the middle of the garden like this, with the blues and violets separated by the reds and yellows, it really kind of gets accentuated, I think. So this is standing cypress. It is, I think it's an endangered wildflower. I could be misspeaking there. It might not be endangered, but you don't see it very often. And I wanted to plant it in my yard because apparently it grows native here. Well, here's what I found out after I planted it. I guess I should have read more about it. It takes 3 years for these things to bloom. 3 years. This is like right here. That's like a second-year plant. Those are like second-year plants right here. Look how big they are. I can't believe that. So this is like a first-year plant right there. First year. And then they do this in the third year. And so I try and keep the seeds. Well, yeah, they're kind of going where they want to. I wanted them over here, and I kept trying to plant them over here, and just figured that they would duel out or outduel the horse herb. But in this case, there's not that many over here. There's these two. They're all over here. whatever. I'm just going to let them go. They're really nice. And they kind of funnel up through this tree. The blooms are really cool. Hummingbirds do love them. I do see the hummingbirds come in here. Really cool bloom. Oh, there's an assassin bug on that guy too. You can see an assassin bug right there. There we go. Pretty cool. So this is the Plumbago. I really like Plumbago, one of my favorites, and one of my mentors, Becky Crunk, who is the head gardener at Texas State University, gave me a little tip about this, about planting them so that they can just get the first rays of sun, and then they get to shut off. So the sun comes up over here. This is the view of the Plumbago. The sun comes up between here and here. So they're always getting a little bit of sun, and then they get to shut off. Like right now, it's early in the morning. It's about 9 o'clock, I think. They get to shut off for a little bit, and then they get more sun throughout the day, so they get to turn back on. But I mean, these things are just monsters. She was so right. They do really like that environment. I've had them all over the yard in sun and shade, and you can do them in full sun, but they really like just peeking out, getting a little bit of sun, and then having the ability to shut off. So yeah, that's a really cool picture. I like that picture right there. Right there. Beautiful. So eventually, there were 3 shrubs here that died during the freeze. And, oh, there's one coming back right now, actually. So eventually, this will all be Plumbago. I'm just going to let Plumbago grow under the tree. And, yeah. A lot of people are telling me, well, you're not supposed to let Plumbago, or you're not supposed to let the tree get so much cover. This tree has had this much cover underneath it for 25 years. So, yeah, I think it'll survive. I think it'll be fine. Plus, I mean, look at all the extra root area it's got here. So this tree will be just fine. It's got a lot of roots here. It's pretty cool. So this area here died during the freeze, and it was about 2 rows of majestic sage. So I'm growing a whole bunch of majestic sage to repopulate this area. This is my path right here. That's why this is all dead. This is vinegar, 20% vinegar and water, just kill everything. And it didn't really work on the, as you can see, did not work on the Asian jasmine at all. Worked on just about everything else. Once you got into the Asian jasmine, it didn't work, so whatever. This is black and blue sage, really cool, really like this sage. I like it because of the color. It's kind of finicky though. You can see it right here. Just an awesome color. All the violets and the blues are in here in the garden. And I think it makes the Sable Miner pop. So these are Sable Miners, and when we have a dog die, this is where we bury them. We put their ashes or whatever we do, we bury them right here. And so this is just kind of our little memento and marker to our dogs. This is a Mexican white oak, or a Monterey oak, and it's a unique oak for this area. That's the reason this oak was planted here. There are none like it around here, so this oak is a good marker. It's very hardy and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, you'll notice that the oak is kind of underneath the tree, but I wanted it to look natural, so I didn't want it to look like just a standing post and goes up a big tree. It wouldn't grow like that in a forest. So the drip line is right in this area, so I planted it specifically in the drip line, so that, well, first off, it'll get water during the rain, but second off, it'll get a funky shape. It doesn't have that far to grow to get out. I mean, it'll shoot for that hole probably up there, but it's going to have a funky shape. So yeah, pretty cool. The bird bath there, I keep the bird bath full some days, and then I'll let it go empty for a day or two because mosquitoes get in there. And so I always let it go a full day empty. And yeah, it's really dry out here today. It's super. It's gonna be like 100 degrees today, so really dry. So you can see the Sable Miners and the look, and it just kind of, it's different from everything around here. So I just wanted this to be separate. And these are very hardy, these Sable Miners, native to Texas. At the corners of the bed are succulents. So this is a succulent spiller filler thriller kind of deal going on here. We have succulent A, succulent B, and succulent C. Yarrow, this is native yarrow. Butterfly attractant. This is white mist flower or fragrant mist flower. It's euphorium or something like that. It's supposed to smell good. I can't stand it. I do not like this stuff at all. So I did have 3 of them. I pulled one up because I can't stand it. I just don't like it. So it is what it is, though, right? It's supposed to, well, it turns white and it's supposed to attract butterflies. Yeah, I see maybe 3 butterflies come to this thing. I work out here. You saw my office is right there. Right through there. I can see when butterflies are coming over here. I don't ever see butterflies over here. So just kind of makes me wonder why I even have it here. But I'm going to give it a couple more years, and then I'll just fill it in with something else, because this right now, it's just not worth it being here. It blooms like 3 weeks a year, and there's so much other stuff I could put right by the front door that would be better. Heck, the Mexican bush sage would be better. That blooms for 6 weeks out of the year, and it has a long blooms, and it blooms twice whenever it's older. So that's always nice. So this is the garden right now. I'm really, really happy with it, except for this little bit right here that died out. And then this is, I just have to fill in. Those things just died, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. So, I just cut them down and I got to fill them in, but it's not planting season yet, so I'm not going to fill them in until October. The Jerusalem sage is one of my favorites. It's an evergreen and it is a monster. The Jerusalem sage was even an evergreen when it got down to 9 degrees during this last freeze. It got down to 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Seriously, a Canadian winter with a week's worth of snow. This Jerusalem sage didn't bat an eye. It is a champion superstar. I just keep, there was only 2 plants when I moved in here, or 2 plants I planted when I moved in, and I just keep pinning down. Every year I'll get a branch and pin it down. There's probably 7 to 9 plants there now. So yeah, it looks really good. I went in there and cut off some dead wood, I guess, but it sure does have a beautiful flower on it. Well worth the work. And the flame acanthus, this is the butterfly favorite. When the butterflies come into my yard, this is what they go for. In this yard here, these take up a lot of room. Like you can see the Pride of Barbados and the Esperanza, they take up a lot of room. But in reality, they didn't really cover the bottom very well, and there were a lot of weeds growing underneath them. So I needed something that would outcompete the weeds and something that would look good against the yellow and the orange. And the complement color for orange is blue, and yellow and blue look great, so I went with blue. I really like the Plumbago anyway. Put 5 Plumbagos under here. This is only their 2nd year, but they're doing a really good job of keeping that ground under there covered, and you can see they're in no way inhibiting the Esperanza and the Pride of Barbados. They're really working well together there right now. Looks really nice. Again, this is another Esperanza here that just doesn't bloom. This one's blooming great. I'm going to take a bunch of cuttings of this. This one blooms great every year. Made it through the freeze, yada, yada, yada. This one never blooms. What is it even doing here? I'm going to pull this guy up and plant a cutting from that guy. So, yeah, that's what we got going on. And yeah, pretty decent. So these are the succulents on the other corner here. And also have a volunteer Pride of Barbados. Going to pull that guy up a little bit later. Also, this is how I get kids into the garden. I have lamb's ear right by the front door, and if kids ask about the garden or if they're in any way interested, I just give them a leaf of lamb's ear and they are hooked. After that, they want to know about all kinds of stuff in the garden, because the lamb's ear is so soft and it's like a puppy. It's softer than a puppy. It's amazing. So you can see some of it died out. I don't water these plants. After the first year, I water them the first year, but after the first year, if they don't make it, they're dead. So I guess that one didn't make it, but there's a lot that did, so they'll fill in. See, there were some over here this year too that didn't make it. That was their third year here. I'm not watering those. Look, they made it right here. Right there they made it, but that's it. Yeah, so this succulent's really awesome. The ghost plant, these made it through the freeze. Another ghost plant there, another version of the ghost plant, I think, and then 2 different succulents here. Really awesome, really awesome. I threw a bunch of succulents under here that came back. I couldn't believe it. So definitely going to pull those up. Oh, there's one. That one's just thrown in the middle there. Came back after the freeze. That guy's very hardy. Definitely going to grow more of that. And that kind of looks, it's a cool texture in the garden, I think, too. Just really cool texture. So this is a Greg's Mistflower. I wanted butterflies to greet people. And so, there are normally butterflies here. On the other side, there's probably 15 butterflies this morning. Right here, there's just not that many. I got to be honest, I'm disappointed with this. I thought that this would combine with those. This is a sweet almond verbena. I thought it would combine with those and kind of make this whole fragrant area, but it doesn't. They really are not fragrant enough to give you a scent in the air with just one of them. I've got 3 over here, 4 if you include the one up front. I need to take this one and move it in this area. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I need to do it somehow because this guy just doesn't smell up this area. I'll let the Greg's Mistflower fill in this area and we'll have more butterflies here. This is also the milkweed. So I do have an irrigation spout right there where I have, you can see the black line coming out. I haven't used it in 5 years, pretty sure it works. And I am going to make this area milkweed. I'm going to get some Austin white limestone and ring this area, and this whole area here is going to be irrigated and it's going to be milkweed right up here. This grows native now. This is not native, grows wild now on its own. I didn't have to water it at all this year, first year ever. This one is Asclepias tuberosa. I think I said that right. It's Latin, so no one can correct me. Nobody knows if I'm right or not. Everyone's dead who speaks Latin. And this one is Asclepias, whatever. It's antelope horns. So that one's antelope horns, and this is a tuberosa. And yeah, I've got a few of them here. I've planted so many here. They're so finicky. These are the only ones that come back year after year. It is pretty interesting. I planted like 17 antelope horns over there. I got one, came back. I've planted like 50 tuberosas and tons of seeds. Man, this is all that came back. Whatever, I guess they don't like it here. This is not supposed to be here. And I'm going to pull it because I don't want these seeds over here. But this is a native poinsettia. So Texas has a native poinsettia. This is it. And I let them grow in this garden. You can see this guy right here. I let them grow over here. Just put that guy over back there. The deer eat them. So I'm surprised these made it right here. Deer do still come up in here periodically. But not supposed to be on that side. I try and keep it walled in with the concrete. You can see a few here. The succulent garden, I don't really care about the succulent garden. A lot of them lived, a lot of them died. Most of them died in the freeze. I mean, it was a brutal freeze, so I think I'm going to get rid of those pots and just keep some pots here for succulents. I mean, it is what it is. Succulent garden was cool, but I mean, it's a succulent. They're so fragile. They're just babies, right? Like, you don't have to water them, and that's great. But if you got to cover them, if anybody touches them, they break, and whatever. This plant here, if I touch it, it doesn't break. Look at it. It's just, that's succulent. I just lost a few leaves. It's just fine. The succulent would be destroyed if I touched it like that. So yeah, not really into that so much. This is a Japanese boxwood that I kind of let get maybe a little bit too tall. Probably about time I trim that guy back. And then bamboo muley. This is a muley grass, but it looks like bamboo, so they call it bamboo muley. I hedge it to get it a softened look. I didn't really like the hardened look coming through here. Hard. I wanted a soft look. So this really is a contrast. Really contrast. So wavy and fluffy. So cool. I really like just walking by touching this stuff. Yeah, it's really cool grass, very hardy. I don't water it. I watered it the first year. That was it. And then obviously my neighbor's backing out of his driveway. Obviously the front entryway. So ferns. I like ferns in the front entryway. There is an irrigation pipe, little black hose running back there, runs over here. And button fern, Boston fern, river fern, Boston fern, some other kind of fern I don't know. One of these is asparagus fern, the other fern I don't know. Foxtail fern and Boston fern. These are super cool. I love these. These are Nepenthes plants. They're pitcher plants, and the pitcher plants are carnivorous. You know, Austin's a little bit too dry for them. I think they're going to do great in Houston. Here, I'm just barely keeping them alive. You can see there's a pitcher back there. The pitchers will form back here on this side. They don't seem to form on this side at all. Maybe it's the sun or whatever, but they just don't seem to form. Had an attack of the grasshoppers earlier. That's what this is. Kind of looks nasty. The new leaves coming out look really nice. So, it's front walkway. So there's the front door. And then over here is the side yard. This is an all shade garden. And I really wanted to put stuff here that didn't need any maintenance. I wanted plants that were suited to the shade, but the key find for me was finding peppers that grow in the shade. Listen, this is more peppers than I'll ever eat, but I love peppers. This is the stuff I could put here. Each one of these plants is about enough for one batch of salsa. I make a lot of salsa. And, I can divide this up and I could make lots of salsa. It's not only is it great for birds, but during the last freeze, the freeze came really late and everything else was gone. All the berries were gone. Late for us. It came in February. For Texas, March is really when the spring starts. And so all the berries were gone except for these. The birds came and stripped these in a day. And this was the food that was available for them at that time of year. These peppers stayed on the plant, and had they not been here, the birds literally had nothing to eat. I mean, there were hundreds of birds in my side yard just diving down, vying. It was not quite a fight, but it also wasn't very organized. But all these grow in the shade with no attention, no care. Again, the first year, you give them a little bit, but no attention, no care in the shade. This is American Beautyberry. Really love the contrast of the American Beautyberry. Look at that purple. Man, that is beautiful. The purple and the green. This is a 4th year American Beautyberry, so next year should be pretty mature. I mean, it's kind of getting mature now, but the big ones are like 10 feet tall. This guy right now, to put it into perspective, is about 6 feet tall. At the bottom here, you can see this is Texas Betony. The only reason this is here is because hummingbirds send out scouts. And the scouts will look for flowers in a yard, and then they'll tell other hummingbirds where the flowers are. This is one of the earliest flowering shade plants, and the hummingbird scouts will look for it. So I've got Texas Betony over here. I had some here, but it croaked. And then I've got a little bit still left over here. I'm not sure if I have any left over here. Yeah, the freeze killed a lot of it. So half of it died in the freeze, but the Texas Betony is literally just here for hummingbird scouts. Over here, this is a backup screen. So this screen is not very dense, and I'm not really into that anymore. So I planted another screen here. This screen will get dense. It'll get really dense. Right now, it's little bitty. These guys will grow about 12 to 18 inches a year. Unless they're fertilized, you can get 2 feet a year out of them. I get 20 inches out. I put compost around mine, so I'll get 20 inches out of mine every year. But even 20 inches a year, it's going to take them a while to get pretty big. I'm hoping in 5 years that they'll be super big and these 3 will grow together. They'll get about 15 feet tall. But in 5 years, they should be big enough to provide me a long-term screen. These are evergreen. They're native, they're hardy here, they'll require no care from me, and the 3 of them together will be very thick, right where I need them. Also act as kind of a wind block. So this right here is a screen. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's call it what it is. Truth be told, this is a screen. There's no fence here, and that's fine. I like it kind of open like that, but I also do want some privacy. There's 2 plants here that you can't tell of. This, I almost lost that guy in the freeze. He's got like 2 branches left. He was 4 feet tall. He's got like 2 branches left. Those are Yopon hollies. This is an Eve's necklace. Eve's necklace will get 30 feet tall. That's a 4th year plant, and it is finally taking off. The first 2 years, it was like 2 feet tall. It's grown about 2 feet this year. Actually, it's grown more than that because it's grown 3 feet wide this year. So it's probably grown 3 feet this year. It's grown quite a bit. Again, we'll get 30 feet tall right there, multi-trunked. So it'll be super sturdy and super tall, really thick right in there, especially with the Yopons growing here. These are not Lauropetalums. They're the name is I cannot believe I can't remember what these are called. Regardless, these are going to grow up to be about 15 feet tall. So 15 feet tall. So I've got a double screen because I'll have a screen here, then a screen here, and then a screen here. So from here over is going to be thick. And then obviously I'll have a screen there. And then coming over here though, these 2 are only going to get about 6 to 8 feet tall and about 4 feet wide. So right here. So that means I've got a little area I can walk through. This is, I measured it, 8 feet from there to there. And so it's only going to get half that wide. So there will be a little gap here. So my neighbor and I can still converse and come over to each other's yards. Right here, there should be, I wanted 36 inches between the furthest growth and the furthest growth. So I looked at like really old ones to find out how big they get. And, you know, some that are like 10, 15 years old, there should be about 30 to 36 inches of room through here for plenty of room for neighbors to meet and converse. It'll get nice and big here. This is another one. I'm going to plant another, gosh, it's not a Lauropetalum, I forget what it is. Another one on the plant there.